So, hello, Jim. Thank you for taking
Hi.
the time. So, I always like to start out just by asking what brought you to therapy and what made you want to enter.
I've always been interested in therapy my entire life. I started my training in the middle of the 90s, maybe because my family was so insane. I think it's probably common that therapists become therapists because they want to understand their own lives.
How would you define mental health?
Depends who I was defining it for. I normally wouldn't use such a term. For me, there's a concept of normality behind it. We want to be normal. And I don't think there is a normal. I think everybody's different, and different isn't bad.
So, what would you use instead of the word mental health?
The thing about mental health is sometimes a useful concept. It came into being, I think, because people wanted to talk about problems without feeling like it's their fault. So if it's a sickness, well, then I caught a disease. It kind of frees you from not responsibility, but from blame. And blame is usually not helpful, kind of compounds the problem. Not only do I have this problem, but it's also my fault.
The labels of mental health gives people a leeway to not take responsibility for their behaviors in some way
Not take responsibility, not take blame.
and not take blame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because until you kind of accept the condition you're in, you're not going to change. You're going to be in a struggle to accept your situation.
It sounds like you don't believe in the word mental health.
I don't believe in the medical model, the idea that there's you and then there's these symptoms which we're going to get rid of so you can be you again. You know, your so-called symptoms is part of who you are. It's all integrated. You can't just pluck them off and toss them. You need to become somebody different if you want to be a person without those symptoms.
What does the opposite of that look like? Like, what would you say if, say, people are pathologized? What does the opposite of that look like? What is the health?
The opposite of being pathologized is, well, here I am, and let's find out what's going on in me. It may not be pleasant, but I have to face it, and I need to learn who I am rather than run away.
So it's about the facing of oneself. And so, if you're working with clients long term, which typically therapy is, how do you know it's effective? And what defines effectiveness?
Well, if I felt we weren't getting anywhere, I would want to look into it. But usually people stay because they like what's going on, and that's progress. When it's not going well, it has to be confronted in some way. Like, why are we stuck? Some people who always feels it's not going well. I've asked her, why are you staying if it's not going well? And I'm threatening to abandon her if I ask her that question. And she wants me never to ask her, why I'm staying. So I don't.
So it sounds like if a person is still with you, that means like something is working.
If a person is still with me, their staying is evidence of it. Some people, they might get scared and they want to leave right away.
Are there any other ways of sensing into progress?
There's somebody I'm seeing now who likes to tell stories a lot. And sometimes I feel like, okay, so we had this story and it's a nice story. I was entertained, but I'm wondering why he needs to entertain me all the time. Sometimes I might say, why are you telling me this story? Some people just want to be listened to, and I can listen to them and they can entertain me. Up to them, we might do that forever.
Is that a sign of progress or
I don't know. Some people might think they came into therapy to be listened to, and they're happy that I can listen to their stories and not say, you told me that one already, or whatever. They just want to be listened to. And it's not necessarily therapeutic, but it may be more therapeutic than not being listened to. If they need something, let's see what happens.
is there anything else you want to say about this topic?
Well, the concept of progress is a funny concept. It's like usually when people start therapy, they think they know where they want to go. Or sometimes I think I know where they ought to go, but neither is usually correct. You go where you go. Progress is going somewhere rather than nowhere.
I see. Well, thank you so much, Jim, for answering these questions.
Thank you for asking that.